Adventure family, want to update you on just kind of where we are in our planning and processing and preparation to reopen the church. So this week, originally, our plan was to release this information to host an opportunity for the church to connect and gather online together for us to have this conversation. But in light of what the governor shared earlier this week, that he hopes to have his guidelines and outlines for churches made available at the latest by next Monday, we decided to just press pause and wait for some of that information to come down so that, one, we wouldn't confuse you, and that two, we wouldn't have to do a second meeting in reaction to or in response to some of that information. And so I just want to clue you in on where we are and loop you in on where we are so that we're all on the same page together. And that is, we are currently waiting to hear a little bit more from the governor before we put the final stamp on our plans to reopen the church. Now, that doesn't mean that we're just sitting around twiddling our thumbs, right? In the meantime, what's been happening behind the scenes is that the church leadership, the elders, and the staff, we've been working really hard to come up with plans on if we need to physically change spaces, coming up with plans on potential traffic flow of how to get people in and out of the building. We've also been looking into making sure that we have enough supplies to clean and disinfect and things like that, in addition to hand sanitizer and masks and gloves and all that fun stuff. We're making sure that we have enough of that, or at least we have access to that, so that if we need it, we have it. So we're working behind the scenes. We are working really hard to come up with what we hope is a real and possible way for opening the church here soon. Now, I just want to tell you this, and I just want to prepare you in terms of expectations. Depending upon what the governor says, depending upon what we hear and what we see as, recommendations from the state and guidelines that we need to meet, there's a real chance that what they ask us, or the kind of some of the limitations or regulations that they set, won't allow us to do church in any kind of fashion that remotely resembles church. You think about some of the things that we value. We value community. We value being together. We value being able to care for one another, those kinds of things. We value those worship experiences. We value that family feel and being able to gather in those spaces and make it feel like family. And if it's going to be really hard to do that, if it's going to be one of those things where what we have to do is so far removed from what we know to be that gathering time, we may have to come to a place where we go, we're just going to hold off. We're going to wait until we can do this in a way that we know feels somewhat like what we know it can feel like. So we know that there's going to be a new normal regardless. We know that there are going to be different ways that we have to do things regardless. But at the same time, too, we also don't want to sacrifice what we know and what we love and what we hold dear about our community on the altar of let's do this really fast. So I just want to keep you in the loop and just make sure that you're aware of what's going to be happening. The other thing that we are currently working on is a survey. So when we are able to release some of the information, we're also going to give you the opportunity to speak into some of this and share your thoughts on what we're doing. And so we don't want to make decisions inside of a vacuum. We don't want to make decisions inside of a bubble when we know that it affects our family, it affects our church family. And so we want to give you the opportunity at the same time to be able to speak into what we are planning on doing. So again, as we wait, I would just ask that you continue to pray for wisdom and discernment for our elected officials, for the experts that are going to ultimately be kind of crafting what this reopening plan looks like, but also just continue to pray for the leadership of Adventure, myself, the elders, our staff, as we work together to make sure that we come up with the best plan possible for getting this family back together in a safe way, in a way that's right, and again, a way that doesn't leave people behind. So just want to loop you in tonight, church, and let you know what's happening, let you know what we're thinking, so that you're not out there just kind of hanging. Want to make sure that you're looped in as much as possible on what we're planning on doing. So thanks so much for giving us a little bit of your time, and hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and we're excited to see you again this weekend.